Welcome to World at Work TV. I'm Allison Avalos, and I'm here with Leonard Sanicola, Senior Practice Leader with World at Work, and we're talking about year-round benefits communication. Lenny, why is year-round benefits communication important?
Well, Allison, people's memories are short, and we really need all year round to reinforce benefits and total rewards messages, especially to keep people engaged and keep benefits top of mind. Typically, the focus of both practitioners and employees has been on the annual event or the annual open enrollment. And rightly so. That is a time where we typically have a captive audience, and employees show some interest in their benefits because they're concerned about rising costs and what next year's changes might be. But that being said, it really is important for organizations to keep benefits and total rewards messaging on top of people's minds throughout the years. It's a great time to brand a company's investment in their employees and a great opportunity to deliver messages throughout the year.
What are some tips you can give to employers so that they can successfully communicate year-round?
It is definitely challenging, Allison, but there are endless opportunities, and that's where I would start with. Look around and see what opportunities exist and leverage that for your messaging in your organization. So an example might be with your 401k program. If your organization is planning on giving out merit increases or incentives, tie some messaging around, hey, this is an opportunity to revisit your 401k contribution and potentially increase your contribution. Another example might be timing your messaging with external events. So for example, there's lots of monthly and annual campaigns. National Employee Wellness Month, National Work and Family Month, America Saves Weeks. Look for those campaigns and then tie your messaging around, this is the time to look at your health plan, or this is the time to look at your wellness or your 401k, whatever that might be.
So Lenny, are there any rules of the road for how you would communicate year-round?
I would say it would be important to offer small bites of information. Make sure your message is clear, it's simple, and it's focused. Employees can only absorb so much. So if you want them to take a call to action, you want it to be short and focused, and they're more likely to hear your message. I would attempt to reach your audience through a variety of media. You need to find what works best for your organization. It's important to make sure information is accessible. Online, it's there for when employees want it, it's on demand, and they can access it when they need it. Because employees tend to look at things only when they need it, so you want to make sure it's accessible. So I would just make sure it's focused and accessible at all times.
I think we all have a tendency sometimes to just get into the routine of what we're used to doing. What are some of the examples, different types of year-round communications that you've seen that might just get people thinking about what the possibilities are?
Well, I think it goes back to earlier what I said about timing internal and external events. So I might create a calendar. Look into the marketplace, see what some of those monthly or annual campaigns are going on. Look internally, what kind of things do we have going on? When is our wellness screening? So perhaps a postcard telling people get ready for their wellness screening, or a postcard or something on the internet that explains about how to save on prescription drugs. You might have some messaging around year-end flexible spending accounts, making sure people are aware of their account balance and how to use the money effectively. You could have FAQs and tips on questions to ask your doctor when you go in for your annual exam. It could be tips on living a healthy lifestyle, a variety of questions. And you can stagger that based upon different events that are going on both internally and externally.
Surveys indicate that less than 25% of organizations are using social media to communicate benefits. Why do you think that is?
Social media kind of creates this fear of risk-taking, things in the public domain. So I think organizations are a little hesitant about, what's appropriate to put in the public domain, what do I want other competitors to know, so I just think it's fear, but to be honest, it's a great low-cost tool, and it's a great way to reach, a diverse audiences. So I would say don't be afraid. Be comfortable with tweeting messages about your benefits, texting. You can still use the traditional methods of print and email and video and podcasts, and they all serve a purpose. They all have value and offer benefit depending upon when they're used and the type of audience you have. And from a year-round perspective, which is really the focus of our conversation, I think social media is a great tool to do that because messages can be short, they can be clear, they can be crisp, and they can be delivered throughout the year.
And they can be aligned with events that are happening externally as well as internally within the organization. You mentioned various campaigns that may take place, national awareness months, things of that nature.
Is correct.
So that makes a lot of sense. What are some tips to help organizations target their employees?
Targeting is very important. You know, years ago, it was all about a homogeneous workforce and one size fits all. And the danger with one size fits all is that you may, messages may be delivered to populations that it's not relevant to, and you may miss entirely the target audience that you're interested in. So I think developing relevant messages gets people motivated to take action. Now, typically organizations would segment based upon things like age and family status and similar characteristics. So for example, you might customize messaging around retirement to your older population versus your younger population. And that's all good, but now organizations are getting even more sophisticated, and many of them are able to look at employee preferences and attitudinal profiles. Now, if you haven't gone that sophisticated, you can simply look at plan participation rates, enrollment information, website analytics. If you've done focus groups or surveys, you can get that information, information on who's attending, what type of educational offerings you might have at your organization. You can use all of that data and then target messaging to different populations. So again, the overarching message should be the same, but you're going to target a specific aspect of that to that particular audience where it's most relevant. So I think personalizing it and customizing will give you a bigger bang for the buck and a bigger return overall.
You've thrown out a lot of great tips. You've got a 2-minute elevator ride with someone who works for a company who's maybe dabbled or is just pretty much focused on a once-a-year communication for their benefits programs. Can you kind of sum up the who, what, where, and why of year-round benefits communication?
Okay, so 2 minutes. Okay, so the first thing I would offer is, what's the overall objective? It's engagement and driving certain behaviors. So keeping that in the back of your mind, I would say first find out how your various audiences like to receive information. We all like to receive information differently. Then I would explore using those tools that are easy to use and are simple, and you can use them all year round. I would find the mix of media that is best for your company, and I would deliver information in small, bite-sized pieces. If it's a complex topic, then you might want to do that over a period of several messages, again, keeping it small and bite-sized, but extending it so that people can sort of add those pieces together and connect the dots over time if it's a more complicated issue. I think in many organizations today, communication is still an afterthought. And it really is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing process. It has to do with engagement and getting people to take action, which is often challenging. So you have to make it relevant for them. Also, don't forget about reaching out to dependents. Many surveys show that it's the people at our home that oftentimes are asking the questions and making the benefit selections and decisions. So you really need to look for ways to engage them as well.
Those are great suggestions. Thanks, Lenny.
Thanks, Allison.
For World at Work TV, I'm Allison Avalos.